Good morning. Good morning.
Y'all gonna make my editing work for harder than it has to be. How y'all doing? How was your
All
week?
right, yourself.
I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, tired. All of the things, the baby shower and all of the things, but they got back on the road. So when I went down to see them, of course, it's an 8-hour drive. Why take them forever to get here? Because they had to pull over, take a nap, rest. Why? I said, who is the senior person here? Y'all or me? I don't understand. I don't understand. They was like, we wasn't ready. I said, oh my goodness. And then of course, my daughter doesn't drive. She's the worst passenger ever. She doesn't assist in driving, and she falls asleep the entire. As soon as she's been like that as a child. I could always put her like she'd be antsy or crying, or I'd be like, "Let's go drive around the block." Put her in a car. She'd be out just like that. It happens to this day. If she's in that passenger seat or in the back, she is out. I
Hey,
said,
Oh,
I'm a proponent of driving kids around in the car. That was me. That's what my mom did for me as a baby, and it
I'm
worked like
like
a charm.
a charm. Like night night.
Hmm.
Everybody before I catch a case. Everybody, get in the car. Everybody. Oh, all right, all right. Well, I guess let's get this party started. Welcome to our Saturday morning tea. Here, we brew up the hottest topics in healthcare. We discuss health information, news information, certification tips, and entrepreneurship, uh, alternative ways of parenting, driving kids around in cars and go to sleep, how not to catch cases, all of the things, but generally the revenue cycle at large. So as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. I'm Clarice Warner. I'm the girl with the pearls, the founder and senior education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance in education. And let me ask you, do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable medical coder? Do you? Well, before I introduce, I guess we got a couple co-hosts today. Let me share with you information on a free, yes, free 99, free email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. Hey. If you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, check out the video description for the link. So joining me today, first is my partner in success, my co-host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I have been a nurse for a long time. In 2014, I transitioned away from the bedside into medical coding. And during the pandemic in 2020, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
I swear I want to have that music. Oh, what a wonderful world. Be playing in the background when you. So how is it going?
It's going pretty well. Actually, this past yesterday, I got a tutoring student. You'll be in. It's interesting. She's a nurse who works in CDI, and she needs PCS tutoring.
All
So
right.
It'll be interesting because she has done, she has a CCDS, but doesn't have a coding credential.
Okay.
So she has been self-studying CM and PCS. So we're going to see.
Oh, all right. So have you started the sessions yet or
No,
not yet?
not
Okay.
yet.
Well, that's interesting. That's
Mhm.
interesting. And so she's looking forward to taking her certification exam or
Yeah.
just get the knowledge. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. She has her CPC. I'm sorry. She has, but
Okay.
she wants to get her CCS.
Okay. Okay. So she want to come in kicking the door. Well, because CPC is different than CCS. So, especially if she's doing inpatient CDI.
Yes, she is.
She's gonna, yeah. She's gonna need all of the things. CPC only gonna get you so far. Well, they do have the outpatient CDI, I guess, if you will, but it won't open the same doors that a CCS will for inpatient CDI. So look
Definitely.
at you. Look at you. Love it. Love it. Well, also in the room, we have our on the spot correspondent who is in the room this time. She's not out there in the streets.
No, fighting hurricanes and things.
Oh
All of
man.
the things. All of the things. Just welcome, and joining us is the Krafty Coder, Miss LaShante. Yes. Miss,
Hello, everyone.
I was like, Miss Ma'am, did you want to introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you?
Yes.
My name is LaShante, also known as the Crafty Coder. I have been a biller and a certified coder since 2012. I opened my business, LA Burgess LLC, in 2021, where we are changing lives one claim at a time and bridging the
All
gap
right.
between revenue, healthcare professionals, and payers.
Cool. And how's that going for you?
All's well.
Okay.
All's well in the claim world. I mean,
All right.
it goes about as expected.
Cool. All right. Well, before we jump in, let me remind you that you can join in and add to the conversation. So don't be shy. Use the chat. Your opinion matters, and of course, is welcomed here. So if you have any questions, just type Q first so that we know it's a question for us and we don't miss it. Yes. Okay. So for those who are just joining us or watching the replay, today we're just kind of talking about what's been happening in these streets over the week. It's a catch-all. It's a catch-up. And talking through some things that just make you go, really. But first, let's get into some church announcements, shall we? Look at you. I love it. Right there on the spot. Hey. Hey, there you go. Hi. All right. Love it. All right. So for me, I really don't have any church announcements. Just again, a reminder, and I know I'm probably beating a dead horse, but just make sure if you have a feeling one way or the other about anything that's going to be going down at this House of Delegates meeting, make sure that your delegates for your state know where you stand and why, so that they can voice the issues or the thoughts of their constituents. So that's kind of my one and only announcement that I can think off the top of the head. I know Mr. Jesse has an announcement. I saw it. Don't be looking like that.
What was it?
Your upcoming ICD registrations for the ICD class. You see? Oh my God.
I got so much going on.
I know you do.
So I because I'm moving, I'm not trying. Plus, I usually try not to have a class after October because then it gets into the holidays, and most people, they're getting ready for Thanksgiving and all that, and they have children, so it's just easier to try to. So what I'm going to do is, especially since I'm moving next month, the end of next month, my first class for the year for 2025, I've already announced and it's already posted. It's Tuesday, January 7th, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
All right. And they can find that information where?
At thecodingnurse.com.
All right. Yeah.
And I even tried a little, I did a little promotion. I even did a Instagram boost with the ads, so it was getting a lot of engagement.
Good for you.
Yay.
So how did that work? How did that did you create something, or you just boosted like your announcement? Or
I boosted the announcement. Okay. And what I like about it is you really get to see a lot of back end analytics, like who saved it, who shared it, Okay.
Have you done that on Facebook before?
I've never done it on Facebook, just on Instagram. But
okay, I wonder what the difference is.
But I realized something yesterday, because I was trying to schedule an ad for Instagram, but you can't schedule it through Instagram anymore. You have to do it through the Meta Business Suite.
Yep, the business suite.
I'm like, well, wait a minute. When did that happen?
But the good thing about Business Suite, though, is while you're already over there, just schedule out the rest of your posts for the rest of the week, and you don't even have to worry about it. The worst thing you have to worry about is just going back at 10, 11, or whatever time it is you're gonna go back and make your comments. So I like Business Suite, but yeah, they changed it.
And then I couldn't get in, so I had to Google. So I had to log out of my Facebook account and then log in with the Instagram for the Instagram to come up. I'm like, when did all this happen? Anybody told me nothing.
Things are changing
They
regularly
really are.
in these streets. It's like, we kind of be focused and keeping our ear to the ground on healthcare. Meanwhile, all of this other stuff over here is just moving at lightning speed, and trying to stay abreast of both can be quite the challenge. But you're well on your way, sir. And
then I guess it could be considered a church announcement. I'm surprised because you all know that I had a job that was going to let me work from Columbia, but that one didn't work out. So now I'm trying to date again, and then so I came across. I'm surprised at how many companies there are that have outsourcing to India. I mean, if I wanted to work in India, I could have 1,000 jobs. I mean, and then there are some in Colombia, but I'm like,
so they are allowing people who from the States to outsource, or it's just outsource in general. So anybody living in India can then outsource or become
if they
employed.
So for an American, because I learned this week, that the reason why some companies don't allow you to work remotely in other countries is because that company would then have to register with that country and pay taxes. So if an American-based company already has an office in that country, then you would be authorized to, if you wanted to live there and work remotely, you could, because they're already registered. They already have their agreement with the country to pay whatever taxes they're going to pay. So it's already set up, basically. So that's why, like, if I wanted to move to India, it would be no problem. I mean, it's a ton of companies.
And they haven't, or maybe they're slowly rolling that out to other countries, but India was just
because, and there's, of course, like they hire Indians too, but because they're in, they're in their country. But if somebody wanted to work remotely and relocate, they could. Now, the thing to do would be to get a job here, and that would allow you to work there, so you can keep your American money. But you want to work over there for what they paying.
Right.
So you really don't.
So you need
But
to get it in first here, get it signed, sealed,
right,
delivered.
right. You get a remote job, and since if they have an office in that country, then you should be able to go work in that country with your American wage.
Wow. Okay.
So I've just,
So is
it's
there
just
like a recruiter or employment service or firm that specializes in that you could reach out to specifically to say, I'm interested in working in this country? Are there things that you have in this field, da 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 da? Or is it just kind of hit and miss as you kind of check out to see what's out there?
it's really hit and miss because even the company that I was working for previously, they didn't advertise. It just so happened that during the onboarding process, I shared with them what I wanted to do, and they were like, "Oh, well, we have an office in Columbia, so it's fine." But nobody's really like these companies don't really advertise that. I don't know why, but maybe that would be something. I mean, maybe maybe it's only me and two other people who want to do it, but I think that it would be. I mean, that would be a selling point for some people. I
And I
think.
think it would, I agree with you. And I think this would be an opportunity for American based companies to ensure the quality of the
Please, Lord.
output from
Claims.
the outsourced organization. Because, you already are familiar, well, you would hope you are, but you would hope other candidates that may be interested in doing this would also be well versed in guidelines and what's necessary for coding claims, and could kind of jump right in and assist and do that. I mean, you would think, hey, let's make our workforce top notch, which ultimately helps everybody, right? But like you said, it might be only two of y'all that's willing to do that. But at least this may be something that piques This may be something that piques others' interest in doing that. So why
I mean, because
not?
I've even asked, like on LinkedIn, like if anybody knows of companies that do it, that would allow it, and I even asked in Facebook groups, and when you do that, like all heck breaks loose because you have people who say, "Oh
Are
well,
adamant, no
right, that's
They
outsourcing,
not
use
no.
allowed." I'm like, no,
right.
that's not true, you know. So I did, and then look, I don't know what happened with Change, but somebody recommended Change Healthcare, and I'm like, well, no, I don't know, because they should be the last people let people work all willy nilly. But anywho, I tried to go to their website, and it's for their career. It said I couldn't access it. I'm like, well,
And then I
I'm
locked
like, what?
everybody down from employment, but
Exactly,
but couldn't keep the patient data safe. What make that make
exactly.
sense? See,
That's what
there we
I'm
go. We already
thinking.
kicking off things that make you go,
That's what
really?
I'm thinking. I'm like, no, wait a
And
minute.
I'm
I
still
can't.
getting letters. I'm still getting Change Healthcare letters about my information being compromised as a freaking employee. That's crazy. That's wild. This is insane. It's a forever going on process.
It told me I did not have access.
They don't have access either. That's the problem. They don't want nobody to bring nobody else back on until they figure out federally how they're gonna figure out that big catastrophe. Because I guarantee you, there are still people out there that don't know where them claims at, and they don't have not the slightest clue of how to even figure it out, or tell you something substantial to make you believe that you actually got the money. You know what I mean? Like you could tell me, right? It's easy to say it's denied. That's fine. But what about those claims that was paid and we never seen a payment, and you don't have the way to give me nothing, not one thing. You can't give me anything from over there. Nothing. Not even a deposit slip.
Mm-mm-mm.
Change healthcare get on my nerves.
Well, and I talked to a person here, provider here, that was like, they're still getting, and this is not change, but other um, companies similar to Change Healthcare are also getting hit from these cyber um, criminals still to this day. And you know, these clearinghouses and these other go in between folks are grappling with, well, is it something that I should pay? Is it something that I'm not? And one thing she mentioned was that they went to, you know, get some assistance from the government to find out, you know, like, what are we supposed to do? And you know, I guess they because they've been doing this for a while, and all of the intel that they received as a result of Change Healthcare and others, it allows them the opportunity to kind of put together kind of a decision tree to be like, okay, well, if they're asking this and doing this and saying this, then yeah, you might want to go ahead and spend some money. But if they're doing this, that, and the third, now just we can put them on watch and we can do, you know. So it's like it's a whole thing out here. Still.
Well, I honestly don't think it's going to get any better because what nobody is talking about is, the tech industry has been laying off people all year long.
That part.
And they don't specify, they just say tech. But how many people in cybersecurity are laid off, are being laid off? How many people that work in for these individual companies that they might not be cybersecurity, but they work in information and privacy?
Mm-hmm.
Like these information officers, like, you know, I just can't see it getting any better when you do things like that because I don't know if you can rely on AI to secure your infrastructure. I don't know.
I don't think you, and I don't think you should. Um, but but you but you're right about that, you know. And with these layoffs or with these people, you know, being let go, all of that history, all of that knowledge of all of this, you know, the stuff that has happened before that can help you build on is walking out of the door. It's gone. like you starting all over from scratch each and every time. So wow.
I think that I don't think anybody should ever lose their job, right? But I feel like whoever let the security loophole happen definitely need to be questioned on their A+ comp or whatever else go with it, and get you a new set of people in with some more up to date something. Something should happen because that shouldn't just keep happening because everything is compromised at this point. You get what I mean? Like there's a
Well,
break point somewhere. Like somebody got to do something so that you don't keep getting the breaches everywhere. Because if they did it to Change Healthcare, right? Who knew Change Healthcare had so much stuff going on in the background on how they released, the gateway to all these other extra clearing houses. Just
but when it first happened, I called it. I'm like, I work for them. I know how lax they are. You should never. How are you that entrenched in healthcare and you don't have two-factor authentication? Like, because who needs to go to jail is somebody in the C-suite, not those regular people, because they're just following policy.
That's right.
And I am sure somebody told them that they need to start two-factor authentication. And I'm sure somebody told them that they need to start sending out laptops. How can you work for it is never a good idea to have people use their personal equipment.
Never.
People are laxed as I don't know what.
Well, I do know from when I was just there, they did switch. So I don't know when they started the two-factor in the laptops and the internet, because they actually send you your own router and everything. Like everything is totally separate at this point. But even at that extreme, right? It still ain't helping. So something was still missing. A piece, still, even though
But
they did that part, they still missed something. Something still
right,
happened.
Well, they weren't
right,
doing that before. That's how it
no,
was easily,
Yeah,
how they were
and
easily able to get the information.
they did that for your job. That not all jobs require that.
right.
Because when I worked for them, and I'm not even talking about this wasn't no 2014. This was like right before the pandemic. I just used my personal laptop and logged in, and picked up and did HCC reviews. And that was another thing. You could work whenever. I would be, I'm a night owl. I'd be up 12 o'clock at night. I work from 12 to 4. They didn't care.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but somebody got to pay for something somewhere. Like I said, I don't agree with people just randomly losing their job because, just like you said, somebody told them to do it. Whether they're job scared or not, somebody they didn't make the decision not to do the two-factor by themselves. You know, they probably just didn't even either they didn't want to pay for whatever it is. The what they got to pay now is way worse than what they were
Oh,
trying to avoid
absolutely.
from
Oh
the
yeah.
beginning. You know what I mean? Of doing it. It's like you were trying to avoid something, but you created something totally different in the process, and it's way flipping worse. Like you have people like you don't nobody can unsee digital stuff. Like make me believe it. Make it make sense. If I see one number on Jesse's thing, I know it. You get what like what are you talking about?
Hmm.
You can't push the erase button from out of my freaking head. I don't care if it was a 30 seconds. You know how technology is right now. You know how much damage you can do in 30 seconds of it.
Hmm.
The fact that you let it go untalked about, unremedied for 2 whole weeks is what I think is like completely stupid, right? Like you shame on you for not even doing what you did. But the fact that you panicked and you paid somebody something. When you start paying stuff for ransom, get help. Send a smoke signal. Call some damn body before you pay the actual ransom. Like that doesn't make sense to me. That's where they lose me. Like everything else up until that point, I'm just like, oh, okay, I can see how you paid ransom. Not once, twice. Where you got that money from? The money got to come back from somewhere. So now you can really tell people that, yeah, we paid you, but you really didn't. You know what I mean? Like, what do you, and then on top of that, it's an abyss of claims somewhere and they come back random. Right now, you might get one for May 14th. Why? Why? All before that, you couldn't even see it. It'll just keep saying they don't see it. Right. And you keep sending and you keep sending it back. And then they send you the denial of it's timely filing. No, I've been sent this. Where was y'all at? It's stupid. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of people involved in that situation and they making it harder off of something probably so selfish when they originally, made that stupid decision because that's crazy. As many hospitals that I've worked at on the professional side, I still always had two-factor authentication. I still could never get up from my computer and not push control alt delete and lock it. And if they came by and seen that you did not have it control alt delete, oh, you was definitely getting rolled up. So the fact that they got everything, it's not like that's a new thing. I don't even think it was two-factor authentication back then. It was just lock the freaking computer and don't give nobody your password. And we're gonna give you a class on it every single year. And you better sign off on it and you better pass it. And you better do it or else. Don't click on this email. All that stuff been out there. The fact that they're a whole healthcare system is just I'm talking about it just completely careless for whatever reason.
And especially since people know how these breaches happen, they usually happen through email. And I told y'all when I worked for Ensemble, the entire time I worked there, they would send you, emails like to see if you would click on it to see or to see if you would either click on them or you're supposed to report them as spam. And so at first it was just because like the first time I did get caught up, so you had to take this training. It was like an hour or so. Then they came up with the next year. They came up with the policy that if you fail 3 tests in a year, you were terminated.
Yeah, should be. Because what you doing?
So, people was just any kind of email unless they knew for sure who it was, they was reporting, and then they would write back and say, well, this is legitimate, or this was a test, congratulations.
Well, guess what? In my own personal email, I do the same thing. If it even look like Israel, if it don't even look almost what I should be we're not clicking on it, and I'm reporting spam. And if you look spammy and you was legitimate, that's your fault, not mine. You know, because I'm not, I am absolutely not doing that. To
I
take over my
remember
phone, mm-mm.
we had put out something in our compliance department to the organization that was similar, just to be on watch about emails and links that look funny and, all of the stuff. And our chief compliance person at the time put in, I don't know, and I don't know where she got it from, but she put something in about YouTube links. And like if the name is spelled wrong, or if they put like a dot in YouTube or something, like don't click on that, this and the third. Well, I don't think she realized and understood that that was something YouTube did. So when you put together, when you go out and click on somebody's, like if you want to share it, oftentimes there's a difference in the YouTube name. There may be a dot somewhere in the name, so it's not something that's fraudulent. So legitimate people would be sending some YouTube links, and we was getting bombarded with these phone calls about they're sending us these links. Do we click on the link? Is this a real link? It was like, okay. And I explained it to her. I had to go back and show her like these are okay. This is, I don't know where you got that information from, where you told them, because they're gonna keep calling because people do this all the time. I was like, oh my God, please people do your homework and your research first before putting out this information. Even though a lot
Pretty
of
please.
a lot of the times but you can spot stuff. Like if your font is off and stuff crazy, I'll be like, trash. I don't even
with,
want to know. Trash.
with dot ed as the ending, yeah, it's
Ma'am,
certain stuff you
ma'am. And I'm the queen of emails. I'll keep emails forever because I'm queen of receipts. But obviously it's stuff that look all just trash. I don't even want to know. It could have been, ma'am, you won the $1 million. It's gone now because it's in the trash. I don't know. Oh,
better call me, and even if you don't come up as spam. Don't come up as likely spam because you're not getting answered then either.
that's true. That is true. Mm-mm-mm. So I sent the link.
So,
Go ahead.
just switching gears for a second, LaJonte, I wanted to ask you. So, since the storm happened, has your test date been changed?
Hmm.
Okay.
I got a
Um,
free reset. Normally they have like 20, you have to pay $25 to change
Mm,
it or whatever, but the center had been closed like I think since last Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, they
oh,
just
so
I
all
was
of those people that have been,
mm.
yeah,
wow.
and it's an actual measure Proctor U testing center. So I had to go into the website. I had to cancel it while I was on the phone, with the AAPC person, um, in order for it to all work. Because I had no idea. Because I was just like, what am I supposed to do if it's within, what I mean, like the 30 days? But
Right.
what I learned is since everything is electronic, so if you're doing it at home or like not proctored with the people at the facility, then you have, I think she said, 20, you got 24 hours or 48 hours. You got like a certain time frame that you can just change it out and it won't matter. But if it's live, that's where the $25 situation comes in at, and you have to do it within 48 to 72 hours, I think. But under this circumstance, I wasn't charged the $25 because I was still going to show up. I mean, for me, I didn't have power, so it was a toss up. But when the power came back on, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Back to regularly scheduled programming until I seen the email, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna reschedule it. I'm gonna wait because we still have places that don't even have gas, believe it or not. Like, thank goodness, the truck that I drive, I fill it up and I don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? So even if my husband has to leave and go, there's still a full tank for him because he still with his essential stuff still had to go. Not on Wednesday and not on Thursday because the roads was like literally tore. I mean, like tore down. It was just the people maybe an hour away, they got way worse stuff, but you could tell because it came through the middle of the night. And normally that's not, we don't get it to that extent, if that makes sense. Like if it's going to hit at 4 or 3 or whatever, we might get like a 1, like, I don't know, something less than a tornado type situation. You know what I mean? It'll just be blowing windy, windy, windy. Oh no. I had my grandmother here and my husband, and they both sitting up like senior citizens watching. I said, I said, man, you crazy. If you think I'm finna sit here and just watch it come, oh no. If I'm gonna be Dorothy, I'm gonna be Dorothy. Sleep, baby. I went and had me a couple of drinks and I laid down and went to sleep because my nerves. You get what I mean? Like because they was going from place to place to place, and then they had Lieutenant Dan dude. He thought he was going, but he actually did make it. Actually, he only got one leg and the boat. It was a whole thing, y'all. Like y'all looking at me like whatever, but they really a guy called Lieutenant Dan, and he was on a boat in Tampa Bay. And so they had the evacuation for everybody on the bay, to get out or whatever. Lieutenant Dan said, "No, I got this. I'm gonna stay inside the boat, and when the tide rises, it's gonna go up and it's gonna do this." And somebody said, "Well, what happens, if you get out of it?" He said, "Well, I just have one leg and I'll swim swim around this." It was the entertainment for me because it was like we had no power, so you just trying to get your news from wherever you could get it from.
Mail.
Listen, oh man, it was hilarious. But Lieutenant Dan, I'll be happy to report he didn't get arrested and he did survive. But baby, that when I tell you that water level, if you could just see like from where he started at to where that water level is, I was like, well, where the heck the water went? I mean, he's way down below the deck because when they were talking to him before, they was like right there. You know what I mean? Talking, he was like, looking at the top of his boat or whatever. He was down there this time, so that tells you how the water it did the surge. You know what I mean? I think they said it was like 15, 20 foot surge. They had houses with, I mean, that was on the beach and in Clearwater. I think it was for our first year anniversary. We went to this place called Frenchie's in Clearwater, y'all. You can't even see the sidewalk. We could see where we parked at in the parking garage, but you can't see no sidewalk. You can't see none of the stores. Like the sand is like up to here on the thing, and it's like literally right there on the beach. So I'm pretty thankful that I don't have that situation going on.
Right.
I was about 12 and a half hours away from blogging Surviving Milton on y'all. Because I was losing my mind trying to stay focused and just, reading the book. I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep studying. You know what I mean? Because at this point, there's no other distractions. What are you going to do for 24 hours of nothing? Yeah. I mean, like literally 24 hours of complete silence and whatever was going on. My kids, they're adults, but you could tell if we was in the wilderness, Lord, y'all, they not gonna survive. They're not gonna survive. They was talking about laptops and everything. I was just like, hi, okay.
The one thing that I learned through all of this that was like I had never even considered that this wouldn't work. And I don't know if it was just for Teslas or is it for all electric cars, but they were like, your electric car won't work in water, in a flood.
Oh no, that's not what
I
didn't think that's where you were going with that. Oh
yeah,
no.
they were like, it won't work. If that water gets up in the mechanism and do all of that, your car won't work. Ever. I was like, oh. Because I really considered like a hybrid or considered an electric car. I said, oh, well, this didn't change the whole game then. Not
Somebody in
that.
my Facebook feed just said that because I'm telling you, it's like so sporadic with the gas, right? And he was like, after all the searching around that I did for the gas, I'm really thinking about going Tesla. However, I'm considering going back and telling him, listen, this is what the people are saying. You better look that up first because
You
it
better look
sounded
that
good.
up, because
Sounded
I heard
good.
that and I was like, oh my God, I never thought. You think, oh well, you'll save on gas. What the
What
hell
about
good?
the
I'm gonna
hybrid
have
one?
a metal contraption outside that can't run. That I'm still gonna be paying for. Who does that?
What about them ugly big the Tesla truck? Them ugly transformer looking things? That's
Those are
gonna be a
not
hunk of
attractive.
junk. No, at
A
all.
huge
None of
hunk of
them.
junk.
None
But
of
just
them.
all of them. I was like, oh my God, I never considered. But I mean, Tesla is not the only one out there with electric vehicles. So it's like
Right.
your
Some
stuff
of them
is.
are hybrid as well. So I wonder. I wonder if it bothers the hybrid as well. Because they go off of you can do either or like most of the time you can be on electric and then it switches to gas as backup or
Mhm.
whatever. But that's something to think about. Plus, would you even want to be in an electric car in water anyway? That just seemed kind of dangerous. Sound like you just a riding shock bomb.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
They
but
said that. I
I
was like,
I survived, but it's still scarce, man. I went to try to get cucumbers at Walmart, and I was
you and your
devastated.
cucumbers.
I was devastatedly disturbed. So I'm assuming they had to throw away stuff like I had to throw away stuff because I was without power Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They came back on later Friday evening, but the poison control people say after the first 4 hours, and we have deep freezers and regular freezers, so we really just didn't go. What I mean, into the
And
deep
so
freezer
on.
to
Hmm.
preserve that. But it was just like we had mayonnaise and eggs. It's like yeah, I'm not being bothered with that. I do not want to have them problems. So we kind of threw that all away on day two of it. But they was not when I tell you they was not prepared. I said, y'all, this is almost like when it was Charlie. Like we had 3 days, but we were out without power for 9 days. For
Wow.
Charlie. That thing was really critical. And then the next one, I said, I ain't going through the 9 days without power. I'm gonna take advantage of these. They had hotels for like $25, $30 a night back then, and I was like, yeah, this is where we're going, to the hotel, to ride this out until we get back, because I'm telling you it's rough to I can't even imagine. I can't imagine homeless people at this point. I mean, we had propane. We have the way that we charge the phone is we have a generator, but the generator doesn't power the whole entire house. You get what I mean? And it's you
Hmm.
only gonna go so far on it. And if they're already scarce on gas, like how much of the generator are you really going to be running unless you don't stockpile gas? And then what you gonna do with it afterwards? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like what you gonna do with all that gas afterwards? So it was just
Right.
it was. I'm glad we came back on, and I'm just like, yeah, I still this is still my hurricane hair. My hand is still messed up, so I got my stitches out. But between hurricane, no power. We do have a solar water heater, so we could take hot showers. One of the days the sun didn't come all the way out, so it's kind of like lukewarm. But I was like, man, if we had to take a bath in cold water, whew, you got to just thank God for small blessings. That's all I can say. I made it through it, and now guess what? Again, we going with Nadine. I was like, man, listen, I'm reconsidering. I say 2.5 on India because I might be we might be moving to India because I'm telling you, man. Listen, and I haven't had the powers. We got this into this house in 2016. So since then, I've honestly not been without power like what I was telling you from Charlie and stuff like that. I had not. That was in 2004. No, 14. I'm sorry. I think. You get what I mean? Somewhere in there. 2004, 2014. One of them is a while ago. And we just don't really get I mean, we get hit like that, but not everybody, not the whole city like we was this time. Like literally like everywhere was kind of just It was just crazy. The people across the street had power. I was like, I need to learn how to do electrician work because I'm trying to figure out how the hell you got us wired up around here. Like, why them people? And then on the same street, two people had the power, but the rest of us all the way back down another block. It was just so random. We went chasing. You know how they do ambulance chasing. We was chasing the linemen. We was trying to figure out where they was because me and my husband was delusional. He was like, "You okay with that, babe?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is one of the random stupid things that I'm all for. Let's go find them. Let's see if they even in the neighborhood close by us at this point." Because, whew, but yeah, that was my surviving Milton story. But I'm telling you, 12 and a half hours more of no power, y'all would have been seeing my block lifestyle for real.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about how just like you have Helene, and 2 weeks later you got another one, and now they're talking about another one is in the works. I mean, it's just like, and not that we hadn't seen successive hurricanes in the past, but not hitting the same area, or some usually like they'll see one forming, but it's going somewhere else, and so you'll
Hmm.
have spots around different places where there's large bodies of water, but this seems like they're just coming for y'all.
Yeah,
They're
they
just
chasing.
coming.
They chasing each other. Like, what y'all got going on? So
You're like, you ain't
go
get them.
ahead and
Okay, well
down.
then here I come. I got something
Yeah,
for it. But wait a minute, they ain't get them. Well, here, wait. I'm a little stronger. Let me come on in. Like, what is the world? What? I
But
blame y'all
you,
governor. It's like, let me stop.
but this is also, it goes to also bring up the point that this is why HIM is such a great field to get into, because let's just say let's just say it was total devastation and you had to go like they did with people from Katrina.
Mhm.
They relocated people.
hmm
I mean, do you get money, but do you know how long you have to go, and you know the processes you have to go through? What are you going to do in the meantime? Or at least
Right.
this way, if you have this type of skill, you could just take your laptop and your family and go to Nebraska if you had to, and
right,
plug in and start work. You don't have to use your PTO. You don't suffer a loss of employment, like you don't, because that's already enough. But to worry about what
Right.
you're going to do for money is even worse.
Yep.
yes. And the whole time I'm just like, man, in my brain, because my client, she's in Arizona, so in my brain, the only thing I could think of is how many claims is still coming in the region. Like I'm telling you, I could not even. I worked all day yesterday. I got this many left for today, but I have these done today so that I can at least start tomorrow on a fresh slate. You know what I mean, and catch up from wherever. But she was like, I'm just so thankful. I'm glad it wasn't even worse. I'm like, ma'am, me too. I'm so glad it wasn't worse. And in my
Right.
brain, that's what I was thinking about. But it's like you're in a situation where it's nothing that you really can do. You have to do. Just my husband was like, one more day and we're just gonna go to the hotel. I'm like, I support that message for real. Cause the only thing that really saved us, y'all, is the fact that we're going into November. But had this happened in July, at the beginning of a hurricane season, man, we'd have been in here like dead fish smeltering. I'm talking about it couldn't have been no such thing as open the windows because this house gets really, really hot just because of the size and there's no trees above my house now. So the sun, when it beams, it's gonna beam and it's gonna turn into a little hot box. So I
Mhm.
am quite thankful for that we could just, open the windows up at nighttime and just catch the breeze that way because I mean, what fan you using? I'm going through menopause too. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was surviving Milton definitely need to be somebody on somebody's list of stuff for real because it was crazy. My husband's aunties, they didn't have any power. Like it was a lot more people affected this time. But to Jesse's point on the money part, so they tell you about FEMA. So I mean, to do the FEMA thing. So it wasn't there at first. So they finally put it up but then they automatically deny you. How you automatically deny me? Now you got to go through the whole appeal process. Some people saying, "Oh, there's another part of it." For me, I didn't have a gaping hole, in my fence. We had some fence panels come down, but my husband was able to go back out there, and put those back up. Um, the screen, now the screen on the pool, that's kind of mangled. That's a whole different situation, because I mean, it was like peeling it back like sardine cans, because the wind. I can't even explain the wind. The wind was like it was the gusts, and they said that it was going to get to us. I don't know, maybe like 12 o'clock. But I'm telling you, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm just sitting there listening. Like I thought this was gone already, and it
Wow.
was literally the back end. It was all the way over, on the East Coast and in the water, but because of its size and it's coming when that wind come back around, and that's what it was. It was like, and I mean, real hard for however long it takes till you get a break. And it was just like, man, we could be Dorothy for real if you mess around and be in the wrong house, or you know what I mean, not have subsequent stuff. So, but
Oh, praise
anyway,
God. Everything.
that's my episode. I survived.
Well, thank God.
That's right. That's right. Oh my goodness. But yeah, to Mr. Jesse's point, that is also the beauty of what we do in health information, that we do have the opportunity to be remote workers. And like we all know, our remote workforce started way before COVID. We had remote workers. It was a little different, but we had remote workers before that. And then with everybody else coming in, then they wanted to add all these other little restrictions and
Messing up stuff.
monitoring and just messing all up. Like, wait a minute, we were doing fine. Everybody was getting their stuff done. Everybody, it was all good. Now y'all, just because y'all can't trust everybody, now we all gotta suffer. What is happening? But nevertheless, we're still out here and working through it. Did you all have any like hospitals impacted in your area with like no power or any of that kind of stuff?
I didn't, but mind you, I didn't have any. I could have got on YouTube TV, but I don't really know how to work it, so I really don't know. But I
Okay.
do know that I am less than 5 miles away from a hospital, so I can only imagine that if they was working, they did. My utility company said that they were working first to get all of those type
Oh,
places,
absolutely.
up and running. The water place, the landfill place, because so you could pick up people garbage cans, because we put the garbage can out, but it's like a truck that picks it up and dumps it. It's not a person that does it, but they have to go and dump it. So you had to do that. We had traffic lights. Was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. So it would have been Friday. The traffic light was still out in a random place, and I was just like, this is not the right place for the light to be out. Like, what do y'all got going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's a high accident area just because it's a high accident area. Forget the light. The light just complicates the whole entire situation. So I told, my daughter, because she works for a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
actually oncology clinic, and she still had to go to work. She went to work Wednesday, but they were trying to get everybody that had to do their chemo, all of their things. Like they was just really trying to squeeze everybody in, because you just really didn't know. Like it was something about Milton that made everybody move a little bit different, I'll say. I think because for a Floridian, you could be like, oh, a 3, and that's just a reason to have a hurricane party. You know what I mean? We still we
Right.
still in the house, and we just party and have. When they start saying it hits as a 4 or a 5 anywhere in Florida, that's when it's like a whole nother type situation. People start going crazy, it turned into Sam's. They went through the light. They had all blocked off like a funeral procession. You couldn't even go straight because they was blocking it off to get to the gas. I was like, see, I'm glad I'm obsessive compulsive. A week ahead of time when I hear it, and between my husband and my grandma, somebody gonna tell me about a hurricane way ahead of time. So I go and I make sure, like we keep certain things, but I just make sure I don't need it during that, not to hoard it. I cannot stand that. It's like, what tissue got to do with this?
Well, did y'all hear that Costco has had a whole list of items you couldn't return?
Oh no.
Yes, because people were hoarding. They thought that and this wasn't because of the storm. This is because of the port strike, the longshoremen.
Oh, well, they told everybody to
They
go get the freaking stuff. Oh
they
man.
had a whole list of items that you could not return.
I ain't even mad. Say the
Me
keep it,
either.
keep it. That's what you get
That's
for
right.
jumping out there.
Oh,
Just,
God.
I mean, I could understand the possibility, right? But when it happened in the pandemic, I was making crafts in a lot, and it took. I will honestly say that the pandemic happened, but it took about a good 6, 7 months before ish really hit the fan, and you couldn't find, furniture or whatever the heck it was. It takes a little bit of a minute for that to happen, but in the meanwhile, I don't think that they would have let the longshoremen people go 6 months. I just they for whatever reason, they probably need to get paid more money or not. I believe in the AI, right? Like I understand automation because that's a dangerous job. Automation is not gonna call out, right? Automation is not gonna say, "Hey, I'm sick today," or "I lost my wallet," or "I can't drive." They're not gonna argue with different stuff. So I get it, but that run the whole world. Can you imagine?
But
Mhm.
also, part of what they were saying was what AI can't detect either is AI can't detect human trafficking because because those some of the port workers were saying that when they when they walk past those tankers or those things, they
Mm-hmm.
can there you can of course, like, people use the bathroom, so
Uh,
you can smell things to let them know, oh, you need to check that because it could be something in there.
Mm.
well, those are going to be essential. I think that there's still needs for them, right? But this is back to what we say about pivoting. Some of the stuff that can be done should be done for safety reasons, but like sniffing out human feces, yeah, that's definitely a person or a dog or somebody got to go and do it because how else would you know that? You know what I mean? Like there's no way that you could know certain things. And I also think, even just any kind of trafficking, you got to do random searches. So I think that there are still places for people, but I don't know how many. For a second, I was just like, how much they pay? Because if it's gonna stop the world, like somebody need to go over there and volunteer to take the job that these people not doing right now. Because that, I just think it would have been catastrophic. Because a lot of stuff, we unfortunately depend on other countries for a lot of stuff that maybe we should or shouldn't, but we in the middle of it. If they cut themselves, if we cut them off or they cut us off, we kind of screwed.
Well, longshoremen have always made good money, but
Mhm.
um my only issue is, like, back in the day, that those unions would exclude black men.
Mhm.
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 So, and then the president of this union who lives in New Jersey, did you see Homeboy's mansion?
That's why I said.
He makes $700,000 a year. And he was doing this interview. He was talking about how, what they not going to do. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those are Cartier glasses. Somebody put in the comments that his glasses were $2,500. When they showed his house, like, he literally lives in a mansion. Like, it's not a house. It's a mansion. It's huge.
The audacity.
And I'm like, so, but I'm kind of in between because do that. Everybody needs to make more money that works every day because the upper management in all of these companies have just destroyed America. That's really the problem.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
really have. I mean, because wages in America have not really increased to any measurable level. And look, and we didn't want to talk about the federal minimum wage,
Right.
but that's why, like, for the workers, I kind of agree, but I just would want it to be more equitable. Like, that everybody makes $60 an hour,
Right.
not just you and your entire family and your next door neighbor.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Then everybody else is excluded.
Right. Mhm. And they should really just get hazard pay because I mean, some of the stories that I heard just going through that, it was just like, well, I never really thought about it, but I guess it's because I that's not, you know what I mean? That's not in my wheelhouse of things that I've ever experienced to even know what you would have to do on a dock. Um, but I think they should get hazard pay. I think that if you make more money, you should pay more money. That's how I personally feel because at some point in time, you're just going to be making profit for yourself if you don't, right? Or your shareholders or your whoever else, but they're not the ones that's out here working. They're not the ones that's putting themselves in danger for these containers, smelling freaking human feces or whatever else kind of crazy conditions. Nor are they the ones processing claims or anything else anybody out here got to do that makes all these bazillions of freaking dollars. And you want to pay somebody pennies, but you want top notch work. At some point in time, it just doesn't work like that.
I don't have a problem with automation. I don't even have a problem with AI. My problem is how it seems like these companies are willing to put a machine above a person. And AI
Mm-hmm.
will never ever be able to do what any of us can do. Ever.
Right.
It's just it will never happen. Because it'll never happen because who created us was is way smarter than anybody was. See, man created AI. God created us. So you can't create anything better than God, in my opinion.
Right. And half of the stuff these people ask people to do, they can't even do themselves. Go
Right.
figure. You can't even sit in the trenches with none of these people and do anything that you're trying to replace. That's why it's so easy for you to say, "Oh, it's just this, it's just that, and we should just do that." That's why none of it makes sense because they're trying to do that because now you don't have to pay that FTE out. No matter how much it is, whether it's the $15 at McDonald's, like the one that's in the Walmart, like literally you place your whole order there, and the only thing the people at the counter do is hand you your order once they get your ticket. You can't walk up and pay, to that. Do I think it's needed? I mean, yeah, because look, Kimmy probably called out because she had a hangover or something. You know what I mean? Like I get it, but it can't replace every single part of it. Like and now you got Elon with the stupid iRobot crap he got going on making robots. I'm like, dude, please, please.
Yeah.
While he don't pay
Well,
tax.
well look, Clarice, are we going to talk about this Erica Remer? Because I,
Yes.
because I've been chomping at the bit. I only have one comment. I'll wait until you start.
So, another thing that make you say, there was an article written by our friend Dr. Erica Remer that talks about discharge summaries. And initially, the article kind of looks at what's mandated on discharge summaries. Wait, let me see. I'll probably be easier if I just share it, huh? Okay. So it talks about kind of, well, answers the questions. What's the purpose of generating discharge summaries? And basically because they have to. So why do hospitals do them? They have to. Um, uh, and pretty much kind of talk through what they're for. And ultimately trying to also have a conversation about, well, what's missing from them, what should they include. And some of the things that are mandated by the Joint Commission, they're the 6 items listed here. Reason for hospitalization. So patient presented complaining of fever, rigors, or cough. Significant findings, physical exam demonstrated hypoxemia and confusion. Chest x-ray demonstrated a large RML, pneumonia, and blood cultures grew out streptococcal pneumonia. Diagnosis, sepsis due to S pneumonia with pneumonia with hypoxemia and metabolic encephalopathy. Procedures and treatment provided. I'm not going to read all of that again. Discharge condition, patient and family instructions, and the attending physician signature. So pretty much it's supposed to kind of outline, because there should be a whole summary of, what happened in the hospitalization. And Mr. Jesse, you can jump in at any time. I know you but feel free.
I mean, the name is discharge summary, so yeah, summary should be
part of it. And so there was this conference that for transitions of care. And I think this was looking from inpatient to outpatient setting, but transitional care could be inpatient to another inpatient setting or inpatient to long-term care. You could also have, inpatient to maybe even a step down, like a rehab hospital, or inpatient to home. So kind of regardless of the end result, like there should be some standardization and consistency in what the discharge summary has and looks like. And again, the 6 areas were mandated by, and it said by joint commission. So again, we would want to make sure, I don't think they talked about CMS mandates or that, because I know Joint Commission, has they grips on hospitals, but they're not the only accrediting body in town, and other inpatient type of facilities may use a different accrediting body. So, I mean, that's something to think about too. So the recommended additional elements from, again, the at this conference, the Transition of Care Consensus Conference, was to also add the patient's cognitive status, an emergency plan, person or contact number, treatment and diagnostic plan, including a current reconciled medication list, prognosis and goals of care, advanced directives, power of attorney, consent, planned interventions, durable medical equipment, wound care, assessment of caregiver status, and inclusion of the patient and caregivers in the development of the transition record to take into consideration the patient's health literacy, insurance status, and cultural sensitivity. I know from personal experience, while, these 6 areas were part of the mandate by Joint Commission, most discharge summaries that I've seen actually have more elements than just that. I mean, I'm lost in the sauce on that part. I know.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I know some things are mandated, but oftentimes people go above and beyond what's necessary to provide that consistent care to patients, to make sure that you would definitely have that, so you wouldn't have the back and forth. Well, wait a minute, we don't get this, or we didn't have this, or we don't understand that, or what. Everything should be nice and neat and included on your discharge summary, especially if you're sending that patient to another facility.
But
Go ahead.
it should be, but it's not. Because I when I first started reading, I'm like, what would be helpful in these kinds of instances is I wish these people would stop talking about what it should be and start talking about what it is. Because I worked at a place where the discharge summaries, when I tell you, were effed up from the floor up. Like you couldn't, you would have to send queries to find out, well, what is the principal diagnosis?
Oh my
Because
God.
it's they will copy and paste into the discharge summary. No,
Please don't tell me they was copy and pasting like
yeah,
the
the problem
diagnosis
list.
list.
Yeah, yep.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
And
oh.
nobody
and
reconciles that part either.
and then even when you read the hospital course, they still ain't ruling out stuff. Okay, well, okay, you got a whole paragraph, but what did you rule it out?
Because what
I
that
still
discharge summary is supposed to be is the compilation of all of the things that happen. I mean, yeah, you still need to go back and double check and validate, da da da. But at least you got the cliff notes of the story. That's what to me that's what it's
I'm
supposed to
telling you, it doesn't
be.
happen. Sometimes it
Oh,
does. Like if it's a simple case, it does. But sometimes no. Like most of I would say it's 50-50.
mm.
And you're
Because
gonna have a cliff notes of copied and pasted stuff because if everybody copied and pasted, I mean nobody was really
And we
half the
talked about
people,
that earlier too, about the
right? Like
whole.
and the whole thing comes down to like when these kinds of like even somebody like Dr. Reamer, she knows better. Like I'm just over these people acting like, you know, oh, but this is all you have to do, but this is what it should be. But it's not. I mean, this country, these private insurance has to pay back billions of dollars every year. So wouldn't that tell you that people ain't doing something right? A whole lot of
Mhm.
people.
A
So
whole lot of people.
let's knock off this perfect world pie in the sky bull crap. Because what I want to say about, because what I want to know about her is because did you see her in her bio? That's what I want to point out. How do you get to call yourself a coding and ICD-10 expert when you don't have a coding credential?
that's the first thing I looked at. I
I
was just
told you
like,
she is
And
a self. She says it all the time. I told you that.
I promise you, that's the first thing I looked at when I scrolled. When I seen, I
We've
was
looked
like,
at her articles before. I told you that. I was
"Ooh."
in a room where she said that. Like I felt, I can't remember verbatim how she said it, but it was like, you all know, I'm a coding expert.
I have read, we all collectively have read thousands upon thousands of pages of medical records. Does that
Yes.
make us a doctor?
No.
Thank you.
No.
You're not a
Absolutely
doctor
not.
till you have MD behind your name or DO.
Otherwise, you just got a lot of stuff that you've seen before.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just, when I read stuff, it all comes back. It all comes down to accountability. Until people start holding these providers accountable, nothing is going to change. And all these people do, because I see it all the time in these jobs. These people contort and bend themselves to accommodate people who really don't really care to do it right.
But then, and that's gonna be a third, right? And then you got a third of people that's probably really holding them accountable, and then you got my cantankerous ortho. You can He want to be how you get what I'm saying? Like there are other
Right.
factors. It's just you can hold them accountable, but they gotta want to do the right thing, and the only way that you're gonna get them into shape is by not getting that claim paid, because the only thing that they hear in their mind is that the claim has been paid. It don't matter if it was wrong. It don't matter if everything we just said, all of that stuff, like we know it because that's what it's supposed to be, right? But then they'll go back and get you 5 MRNs where they did the same exact freaking thing and it was paid, and it's like you know what I mean, like like an uphill battle with some of them because the payer still needs to, they got to pay the money back, right? But when it's paying it back to CMS, that's because CMS going back looking for their money. But what about the commercial plans, right, where stuff just get nobody who's monitoring them? No,
Oh,
they're going
they had people. They got they
I'm
got they
sure.
got whole divisions. Because I worked for one. They got whole fraud, waste, and abuse departments that
Mm-hmm.
analyze everything.
Understood. but at
Mhm.
the rate that they still have to pay stuff back and pay it incorrectly is what I'm saying. Is it's still a gap somewhere. Maybe the force of fraud and abuse needs to be built up substantially more, because there's still a lot of claims that go under the radar that you retroactively go back and get the money for. From why are you coming back right now from something from 2022 or 2016 or whatever year it is, when you could just do what you're supposed to be doing from the beginning?
Because they don't have to. And like when you're talking about the cantankerous orthos, but see, he's in his own practice being cantankerous. So
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
those kind of people, you got to just lead them to their own devices, and
Mhm.
you fight with the insurance company. But I'm talking about these people who work for institutions.
Yeah, because they have all
Be,
kinds of regulations that they are
Yeah.
and
required and
because
mandated to follow.
and we all know, working in HIM, they can pull up all the cases we ever coded.
Right.
They can analyze us 7 ways to Sunday. But why don't they? But they won't do it because of who the providers are.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why can't they do the same thing with doctors? Why can't they say, okay, well, we billed $4 million for you this year, but you had $3 million denied, or we had to repay because of your lack of documentation.
But they
They,
can.
but that's what
But
I'm
they
saying. But they
don't.
won't. But
Right.
that, not that they don't. They won't. And
Right.
until you have that level of accountability, it's never going to change. Never. And they put, because I have worked for places where they want to put the burden on CDI, put the burden on coding. No.
It's all
Mm-mm.
about the documentation. It's all about the
And
provider.
period. Period.
And what somebody should have knew. Well, you should have knew. Ain't nobody should have knew nothing. Not when you're supposed to be. Well, I'm supposed to read what really happened, and you're the teller of what really happened.
So case in point. So you all know I actually this has been a week, I think it's been a week that I quit that job. So the um the director called me, my boss's boss, or I'll say my manager's manager, called me. So we played phone tag. We talked this past Monday. So I told her, I said, to just, long story short, she's just a bad manager. So, um, her manager did say, well, she said, well, for full disclosure, she never had direct reports. Yes. So she was over the outsourced Indian coding team. So she managed the coding managers in India. So I went on to tell her. So I told her the whole thing. I said, well, I said your entire process. I said your onboarding is trash. I I said this is the worst onboarding I've ever had in my life. And I told her, I said, and other than HR, I was not given one coding policy by anybody. You don't have a structure. You don't have a standard operating procedure for anything. I said that's not acceptable, especially when you have clients like the one that you have that is completely off the chain. Because when the deal goes down, and I told her, because what you are setting somebody up for is when the deal goes down, they're going to be the one left holding the bag. I said, luckily for me, I know my stuff. I know how to be on the right side of the OIG. And and I told her, I said, because I said, even, and I told her, I said, the problem with your manager is she jumped at everything the client said. And I'm asking her, well, we need to have a conversation. And she never had time. And I told her, I said, and I told her, I said, well, do you know risk adjustment? I said, have you ever done risk adjustment? So she said she had. So, and I told her, I said, and don't just take my word. Have IT pull up the team's messages. Read it for yourself. What she said. And I told, and I gave her the example. I said, I was doing the chart This person was on metformin, had an elevated hemoglobin A1C, and the provider diagnosed them with impaired fasting glucose. I think I shared that before. But I was telling her, I said, so I was saying, so then she said, well, so I said to her, I said, well, when I had a conversation with my manager and the client, they wanted to talk about queries. And first of all, I said, queries is not part of my job. And if you're going to make it part of my job, then what you have to do, I said, queries are not just sending a provider a message. Queries have to be, as you have to have a policy
There's
that
a
has
whole
to be
format.
approved by compliance and legal. You have to decide how they're going to be handled. You have to have a query escalation policy. You have to have all of that. And they
In
just
place before you start writing queries,
exactly.
not as you doing it.
I said they're just pulling things out, and I said, luckily for me, I know how it's supposed to go. And then I told her, I said, then she said, well, she said to me, my manager typed, it's your job to get the provider to document diabetes at the next encounter. I said, where does that happen? I said, who has that? I said, if I had that kind of power, I wouldn't waste it on no provider. So I told her, I said, so she said, well, you are supposed to provide the information. I said, no. I said, providing information and then querying for clarification is two separate issues. When you want validation is not querying. If I tell you that there's support for this and this person didn't document it, that's where it stops. You have to have another mechanism in place to bridge that gap.
Correct.
And I told her, I said, I was not. I said, for me, I said, I'm not trying to fight the client and fight her. I said, because first of all, I don't get paid to educate her. You don't pay me enough for that. And that's why I left. That's because I'm not for it.
What did she say?
So she appreciated my time. So she said that she would have them pull up the records. And so I told her, I said, well, when you review the records, I said, will you get back to me? I said, because I don't want it to just be, oh, you review the records and what is your conclusion? I said, I'm sure you're going to talk to her, and rightfully so. She has a right to defend herself. I said, that's why I want you to read the proof. So she was like, well,
ultimately, this, I mean, it may not do anything for you in this situation, but this ultimately helps anybody else who may come into this organization and to be managed appropriately, because clearly they're not.
Mm-mm. And this is what happens when you have people who can't do what you do. Because like I told her, I said, she's supposed to be the one. I should not be the one giving pushback to the client. That's her job. She's supposed to be the one to say, oh, no. Well, we have to put this in place first, or we need to work on this, or you and I could work on this. And I told her, I said, that's just like because she thought my manager thought it was all about this spreadsheet. And I told her, I said, because I said, listen, I said, I've been doing, so then she's going to ask me. She asked me, well, have you done pre-visit review before? I said, oh, no. I said, please don't do that. I told her, I said, because her name was Betty. I said, Betty, I'm one of the best to ever do it. I said, I know my stuff inside. I can't nobody see me in a chart review. I've been doing this for over 10 years. My skill is not the issue. Her lack of skill and her lack of management is the issue. I know what I'm doing. It's clear she doesn't.
Yeah, get your people. Get your people. Well,
but this is. Go ahead.
I was like, well, hopefully she'll get back with you and
if she don't, that's fine. That's fine. Because look, what was that? That was a song from a couple years. In the recent past, I said what I said.
All right. That's right. I said what I said.
because
And
you have
clearly
to
my
like you.
documentation speaks for itself. You all have it.
And that's what. Oh, and that's what I told her. I said, don't. I said once again. I said, don't take my word. I said I did 80 charts in a week because I wanted to get back to the spreadsheet. I said, I said her whole thing was she wasn't trying to collaborate on the spreadsheet. She was trying to come from, well, I'm going to show him how to do it so he can do it. And I told her, I said, I have enough to do. I said, you want me to review? I said, first of all, you wanted me to review 5 sites a week. And these people, and I told her, I said, because clearly these people have an issue, because why is it that these people are assigned to this clinic through Medicare Advantage, but they're going all over Miami and Tampa, going everywhere else to get care but there? That's a problem. Then I have to review all these records from hither and thither and try to put it together. I said, but nobody has even mentioned that, because she clearly don't know how to do it. Then, so you want me on top of that to manipulate a spreadsheet that these 2 people created? Let them. I said, why couldn't she create the spreadsheet every week and then let me update it? That's what I wanted to have a conversation about, because I was never going to do that. I have enough to do.
With her productivity standard that was out the wazoo from the
Oh, and
beginning.
I talked about that too. I said, first, I said, people, I said, unless you have done it, you should not be dictating what productivity was. I told her, I said, first of all, I said, what the client had wanted was ridiculous. I said, what my manager proposed wasn't what she and I talked about. And I told her, I said, I could have cared less what it was, because I knew what I was going to do, because I know what I had to do. Whatever number it was whatever number it was. And I told her, because you had to, I said, you understand, I had to review 9 months of records that are all over the place. I would like for you to do it and do 18 or 20 charts a day and do it right. Don't tell me to do something you can't do. Period. I don't care who it is. So, as they say, used to say on Clubhouse, I land my plane. But we had a conversation, because when I tell you, I ain't holding nothing back.
We know you did. Wait a minute, not you just flicked your wrist. Hold up with the ice. Hold up.
Yeah.
That was standing 10 toes down with your wrist. I said what I said.
There you
Right.
go. There you go.
I love it. I love it. That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, at least she called you back, from the first, even if she doesn't make this return call. But it would be to her benefit to close that loop. And it would also be to her benefit to get a better understanding of what happens. Because again, there's still a need to have folks in that role performing that job. And you have this client. Well, first of all, you got this person that's in the middleman going in between as a yes person. And so his or her allegiance, whoever's in that role, seems to be to the client, but not necessarily to their employees. And at this point, at the rate that they're going, they're not going to have an employee that's going to stick, or employees that are going to stick. Good employees that can help transition some things in their department that will help make life a little easier if they had these things in play. And not listening to your employees and or assisting your employees is not the way to keep them, period, point blank. Even if the coin was right, that's not how you're going to keep your people. You got to take care of your people, and your people will take care of you.
And you have to know your job, and you have to
You have to know
say,
all of the jobs. You have to be
right.
abreast of, well, what is it? So when you're having the conversation with the client, even if your staff is unavailable, you have personal knowledge about, and even if you've never worked in that quote unquote role before, you at least been elbow to elbow with your staff to understand, what is it that you do? Tell me, show me. That you have some working knowledge to be able to justify the position that you're taking when you have conversations with a client, versus, oh, well, they said we should be able to do whatever, so let's do it. Who? What? No.
And you know, and that is what I really wish coders would really get back to. Like, you have to know what is right. And
Yes.
by me having a clinical, being a nurse, like, they tell you, they beat it into your head the entire time that you are in school. Do what is right. It doesn't matter who tells you, the doctor, the CEO, they can, whoever it is, you do what is right, because at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to be held accountable,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And we
because
did
you
that whole
know.
episode on the ethics. Y'all better go back and make sure y'all standing 10 toes down on those
Hmm.
ethics and doing what they say. Because then that falls on you.
Yeah. And you have to, because I would much rather walk away from a job than 2 or 3 years from now be contacted by the OIG because you done coded something fraudulent.
Talking about,
Because well, that's what they told me to do. They who?
who is they?
Exactly.
Anytime somebody comes with me with the they, who is they? I used to do that with my kids. Who is they? Well, mommy, they said, and they did, and who is they? They doesn't exist here. I need a name.
There you
And
go.
we only gonna be talking about what you did in the situation, and then I'm gonna talk to other people what they did in the situation. But it's not gonna be a
Exactly.
collective.
But here's the thing, but the other people involved don't have their nickel in that dime.
Right.
You're going to be the one left holding the entire bag.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And
That's
I done been on. Look, I done had investigative reporters call me. I told y'all, just the council just called me from another job I had 2 years ago about they being investigated. No, I mean, I know. Look, my stuff's solid. I know what I did.
And I've told people over and over and over again, yeah, you're going to get your money. They're going to pay you. They're going to pay you. You're going to get it. It's about keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about keeping it. Because at some point, it's going to cycle through where somebody will be like, oh, let me take a look at this. You know how you go to the airport, you be waiting for your bags, and every now and again, one of them goes over. That's a quality check to just make sure. Hey, we might not have seen anything on the screen, but so many bags got to get checked. So many claims got to get checked, and lo and behold, they may check one and say, "Well, wait a minute, this is a whole lot going on here. Let's look at more." And that's
Where
when
there,
the,
where
the
there's smoke,
party
there's
starts.
fire.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right. That's right. That's right.
So I just can't stress it enough to anybody who's new or trying to get into it. You got to do the right thing, because
Yes.
they will leave you hanging out to dry and think, no, I've seen it.
And don't let these seasoned people come in and tell you otherwise, because
Mm-mm.
they may have bad habits.
Exactly. Like,
Or don't recall, or don't do what they need to do. What were we saying? I'm sorry.
just put a 59 modifier on
Oh my
Oh my
God.
God.
it.
Yeah, because you can get it paid. Everything gets paid with 59 modifier. Just add a 59 modifier on it. It's all good.
Or send a
Ain't
consideration
seen,
and an
especially
appeal.
coming from like the billing department, because they feel like that's what they've been told to do, to slap on. But hey, ain't nobody looked at their liquor record documentation, nothing. Oh,
They
okay.
don't even halfway even know how to read what they're looking at, let alone talk about where you should put a modifier on there. I didn't talk to a whole bunch of companies, and no, you got to have the coder everywhere inside of that situation, because you cannot appeal. They either want to put the 59 on it, or they want to appeal it. Nobody's checking to make sure it was done right, right? The theme is hurry up and get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out. This is not like a rejected claim. This is actually a claim that went somewhere, got denied for a reason. There's a root cause to that reason, and you have to figure that root cause out. Not band-aid it, not do something to just get it paid right now, but what's really causing that problem. Because if it caused that one problem, there's like 50,000 more of that same kind of problem somewhere until you fix it going forward. But that's the stuff that
And fix it,
people that
and
don't
taking the
know.
time to educate and provide the
Exactly.
information on, let's not make this happen again. Let's do what we need to do to ensure that these types of denials no longer happen, because you've done the work. You've found the root cause. You corrected those, and you provided the appropriate education to all those involved.
Child, they tell the building
It all makes
department
so
not
simple.
even talk to the coders, or the coders don't want to talk to the builders, or if you're in the building, you can't talk to the doctor. The coders barely want to talk to the doctor. Like, it's a catastrophe. I be,
It is.
I'm crossing all lines, all other lines. I'm crossing to go and do whatever it is, because what I'm not gonna do is get caught up. I don't have to. That's the part that I don't have time for. So if that means I got to go over here and figure out what the authorization grill didn't do right, so we can make sure we don't have to do that again. That's kind of what I'm going to end up doing. And I'm not here to be the bad guy, but how you keep your money? How do you stop getting a spreadsheet full of claims, like legitimately full of claims, that you got to go back and your solution is to downcode every single one of them one level? How does that even make sense? I'm not touching that. I'm not doing that. Don't even send me that spreadsheet, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing that way. That don't make sense. It's already denied. The worst thing that we worried about is a 90-day turnaround on an appeal. That's it. Take the time and figure it out, because maybe you need to appeal some of the ones that they denied, but maybe, just maybe, they keep denying you on the whole spreadsheet full because you do stuff like this. And you got people over there that they probably ain't even coded claims in real life. They just learned how to code from the insurance payer, which is a whole nother story. And
I love your
What? Wait a minute. So I told you about the taping, right? So I had turned my phone off, but I turned it back on to text one of my friends to tell her what channel it was going to be on. And I thought I turned it off. Why in the world would they? Luckily, they hadn't started filming, but they were sitting the people down, and they were just getting, like, doing a run through. Why did my phone go off? I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
I mean, and the two people in front of me, they were chuckling.
like, look at here, look at here.
And then I took a crossbody bag that had these hidden zippers. I couldn't find the zipper to open it up to get to the pump. It was
oh no.
Did the whole thing play?
yes.
Yes. So, thirsty for fresh perspectives on the healthcare revenue cycle? By becoming one of the tea sippers, you'll join a community of sharp minds who savor the complexities of the healthcare revenue cycle. I need to have something with ice too, don't I? Iced tea. How about that? Why sip alone when you can steep in knowledge, when we can steep in knowledge together? Come, let's spill the tea on industry insights. So here's what you can expect as a valued member of the PRNT Sippers. Exclusive healthcare insights, so gain access to in-depth articles, webinars, and resources covering the latest healthcare trends, compliance updates, and revenue cycle best practices. Early access. Be the first to receive expert insights and guides, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever-evolving healthcare industry. Personalized support. Enjoy direct access to our team of experts for guidance on medical coding, compliance issues, and revenue cycle management. We're here to answer your questions and support your professional growth. And last but certainly not least, and my favorite, community connection. Join a private community of healthcare professionals where you can network, share experiences, and collaborate on finding solutions to common challenges. So by supporting us, you're not only advancing your healthcare knowledge and career, but also contributing to the success of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, a resource that empowers healthcare professionals like you to thrive in their roles, goals, and dreams. So thank you in advance for considering becoming a member of the PRNT Sippers. Check out the link in the description of the video. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to helping you excel in the world of health information and healthcare revenue cycle. Well, thank you all again for joining the Saturday morning tea or checking out the replay. Let me just ask, was the tea spilled today? Was it spilled today? Yes.
Always, yes.
Always. So don't forget to put your tea cups in the chat. Just plop your tea cups in. Now,
You got your pinky up.
right. Now, before we sign off, I've got a special request for all of you amazing viewers out there. If you found this article helpful, don't keep it to yourself. Or I'm sorry, this episode helpful. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the knowledge with your colleagues by hitting that share button. And hey, why not subscribe to our channel while you're at it? That way, you'll never miss a drop of this health information, compliance, revenue cycle, and medical coding tea. All right. So if you got thoughts or questions or experiences you want to share about any of the topics that we brought today, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation brewing. And if you enjoyed this episode, again, give us a thumbs up. It helps more healthcare professionals find our content. And also check out the Coding Nurse channel on YouTube. Remember, at the Saturday Morning Tea, we're all about building a community of savvy, informed healthcare professionals. So like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's grow this community together. Mr. Jesse, do you have any final closing thoughts?
No, every week I'm just so grateful for this platform so we can really give people the real tea
The real
of,
tea.
of what's going on out here in these HIM streets.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have any thoughts that you want to share or on the street correspondence that's in the room today?
No, ma'am. Everybody have a great week, though. Make it productive.
All right, all right. So this has been a great session today. This has been a great session today. And remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care.